Filming at Gen Con 2017, we are at the booth of Ares Games, where there is a new game that is being presented, and that game is Sword and Sorcery. High fantasy mayhem, it appears, so that's one of my favorite genres, so I'm very excited about this game. And Rob, working with Ares, is going to tell us a little bit about Sword and Sorcery.
Okay, so this is Sword and Sorcery. It's an adventure-in-a-box co-op game. It's a dungeon crawler. You play with your fellow players. There is no dungeon master required, no game master required, so all of the enemies are controlled by mechanics within the game itself. The base game comes with 5 characters. All those characters have different modes they can play in a chaos side, a law side. Those modes would mean that they have different powers available to them. And those powers can change each time you play. Base game comes with a campaign of 7 missions, and you play through those as a story, keeping your levels and your treasure as you play through.
Nice. And here is how the board looks like. Lots of components when the game is actually being played. So can you tell us a little bit how it plays, what defines the characters, how turn works, and stuff like that?
So it's characters are fairly standard, you know, fantasy setting characters. As you play through, you have cards that indicate weapons, cards for special abilities.
Would this be an example?
Yeah, this would be a great example. Thank you. So you have cards here that indicate special effects. As you use them, this indicates a cooldown on it. So it flips over. If it's a cooldown of 2, then next turn it slides and it flips over again. That cooldown is a big mechanic in the strategy of the game. One other important thing is that your character has a base ability. If he happens to die in the course of combat, he flips over. You're not out. You're not there sitting on your hands while your friends finish. You are a soul now. You're in soul form. You still get to use your soul shout ability and continue helping you on your quest. Enemies spawn randomly in random locations based on the board setup. They'll have different random powers each time. They get a turn after each hero turn. Which ones are going to activate, you never know for sure, so it's kind of a big threat, kind of a big risk you have to take.
Is it like through die rolls or card draws?
Card draws for what's going to spawn, die rolls for where they're going to spawn, card draws for additional powers. There's a lot of card draws, which allows them to do a very wide range of variability, and of course include a ton of artwork.
And important always in games of this type is combat. How do you fight? And does it have anything to do with that little dial there?
A little bit. So this dial indicates how many actions you have. As you level up, you'll have access to more attacks per turn and that sort of thing. The combat is based around these very special dice. They have these sort of wallop symbols on them. So when you're rolling, you're trying to get as many of those as you can. I'll let you handle that so you know it's in focus. They also have lightning bolt symbols. When those lightning bolts go off, they activate special abilities, depending on the weapon, depending on the spell being used.
A lot of stuff going on these dice.
Yeah, they're very unique. Again, it allows them to do a lot of different things and give it a unique feel. Enemies then get a chance to roll defense die based on their armor, based on their defense abilities.
So I didn't hear, they do or they do not?
They do.
Okay.
A lot of times they don't. It depends on if they have armor or not, but if they do, they get a chance to roll and defend themselves. But hopefully not. Hopefully kill the enemies right away.
Now, you said that the game is fully cooperative, so is it also playable in solitaire by a single player controlling several characters?
Yep. You can play up to 5 players, or as few as 1. You can play 1 player controlling as few as 2 characters. Or as many as 5 if you've got that talent.
And how long does it take typically to complete a scenario?
About an hour and a half to 2 hours. That'll get faster the more you play. There's a bit to learn. There's a bit of a learning curve, but once you've got it down, it does run very smoothly.
And something about dungeon crawlers of this type. I see you set up the whole terrain before the game starts based on the scenario instructions, I assume.
Yep.
But then do you also know where monsters, treasures, and traps are going to be, or do you discover it as you enter like a new area, like gradually?
Yep, so you discover that gradually.
Oh, that's the way I like it. So that's how I like my dungeon crawlers.
These are called shadow markers. These represent an area where maybe the heroes saw some motion, they don't know what's there. As they come within sight, the heroes get to flip them over and see maybe those are monsters, maybe they're not. The other thing is these story events. These events are put down at the beginning of the game, and all it says on it is read and apply story event 1. What this means is that the player who sets it up, they get to see the whole map, but they don't know what story event 1 means, because this is the setup book. It doesn't have anything in here about what story event 1 is. It just says story event 1, go to the Book of Secrets, page 3.9. That means that when you're first playing through, every player is experiencing it together. It's still just as surprising.
I like that. Excellent. It just increases the narrative feel of the whole thing. Well, looks like a very interesting game. Thank you for giving us this introduction to Sword and Sorcery by Ares Games, on sale here at Django 2017, and will it be available to the general public after the convention?
Yeah, it is available.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.